Ramanujacharya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today. Very auspicious day, just like yesterday, Madhavacharya's appearance day. Today is Ramanujacharya's appearance day. So we'd like to remember these great souls and seek their blessings. They're very, very powerful personalities. Yesterday we looked at Madhavacharya, who comes in the line of Brahma Sampradaya. And today is Ramanujacharya, who is in the line of Sri Lakshmi Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya. The other two Sampradayas which are regarded as authorized in Kali Yuga are, one is from Lord Shiva, the Rudra Sampradaya, and Vishnu Swami is in charge, or the one of the main acharyas of that Sampradaya. And then we have the four Kumaras, and Nimbakacharya is one of the Sampradaya Acharya. So just having a look again at the timeline, it's always interesting to see this. Krishna left this world to go back to the spiritual world. Of course, he never leaves the spiritual world anyway. But he leaves this world about 5,000 years, just over 5,000 years ago. And then Kali Yuga sets in, and misuse of the Vedas leads to Lord Buddha coming to basically stop the misuse of the animal sacrifices that were taking place in the name of the Vedas. So he succeeded in doing that. But Lord Buddha's philosophy is effectively atheistic in one sense, although he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still the philosophy was atheistic more or less. So then Sankaracharya comes and reestablishes the Veda.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes, I was about Lord Buddha. He was atheist, but then I was reading somewhere that yes, he was atheist externally. Internally, he was form of Krishna.
Correct.
Avatar of, he's an avatar, isn't he?
He's an avatar. He's known as a Shakti Vaishavatar. So
no, not 100%, no.
Yeah, he's like empowered soul. That's
empowered,
correct.
Yes, that is correct one. But it's quite glad to know that internally is what we have to be, like our consciousness and everything.
Correct, yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
But he just wanted to stop. I mean, the Lord wanted to stop the sacrifices in the name of the Vedas. The explanation.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
That's very good. Thank you, Naniman. And then 1,000 years later, Shankaracharya came and re-established the Vedas. But he promoted the formless aspect of God, the Mayavad philosophy. But of course, he himself, again, Naniman, the internal mood was worship Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda.
That was his final words.
Yeah, that was his final words. That was his internal mood.
He's this Bhaja Govinda. My dad used to sing that when we were in Africa. Lovely bhajan.
Yeah.
And that's what he said, Krishna is there. And he sort of, he admitted that Krishna is Krishna's original personality, and he came on this earth, and his parents are Vasudeva and Devaki. So being Mayavad, he had quite a bit of a Vishnu Tattva in him as well.
Yeah, he's non different from Lord Shiva. One and the same.
Yes.
Yeah, Lord Shiva is Shankaracharya. So great Vaishnav, great Vaishnav. But he had been given this task unwittingly by the Lord. He didn't like to do it, but the Lord asked him and he did it to deny his personal form and promote his impersonal form. But we've seen, Karuna has sung so many bhajans by Sankaracharya where he's describing the glories of Vishnu, glories of Krishna. So he is definitely a Vaishnav for sure. But yeah, interesting. So then the four sampradayas came, which established the personality of God, starting with the Rudra Sampradaya, Vishnu Swami, Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya. So today we're going to focus in a little bit on Ramanujacharya, after which the four Kumara Sampradaya, Nimbakacharya came, and then Madhavacharya came. And then, of course, after Madhavacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he mainly took a lot of the teachings from Madhavacharya's Sampradaya, the Brahma Sampradaya, but actually he united all four by taking points from each one. And then Prabhupada spread everything around the world. So we had a quick look at this yesterday. So I won't spend any time on this one. But basically, their moods are a little different. Each of the Sampradaya have their own mood. And the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is like the fifth one, which is like a combination of all of them, has its own mood as well. And the philosophy also is slightly different. They're all connected with the Supreme Lord, but they're slightly different. Like, for example, the Brahma Sampradaya, which you talked about yesterday, Madhavacharya was very clear that God is God and we are Jiva, completely different. But how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reconciled it was that, yes, we are different, but we're also the same. And that's Achintya Bede Bede Tattva, inconceivable oneness and difference. We are one with the Supreme Lord because we are similar in quality, but in quantity, there's a vast difference. So in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reconciled all of the different thought processes within the four sampradayas into one, and that is this Achintya Bede Bede Tattva. Because there's purified monism, monism and dualism, specific monism. They basically say, all of them basically say that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna, is the Lord, and this Jiva is Jiva. There is no likeness between them. But there is, because the qualities that God possesses, we have them in smaller quantity. Not all of them, of course, which is why God is God. And then the mood of worship is slightly different as well. In the Sri Sampradaya, very much the servitor mood is there. As we saw when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South Bharat in his pilgrimage, and he came to the family of Venkat Bhatt. And there he saw the mood of Venkat, which was to worship Lakshmi Narayan in the mood of awe and reverence. So generally their mood is of servant-master relationship. However, in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, all five of the moods are included, which is really interesting. Very, very interesting. So one who belongs in the Sri Sampradaya, they won't have the mood of conjugal. Of course, nobody should have this mood of conjugal whilst they're in this material body anyway, because we're not qualified. But ultimately, once one becomes enough purified, then that mood can become established, even whilst one is in this material world.
And if you look at Sri Sampradaya, it says Vishnu form, and most of the temples in South Bharat have some form of Vishnu alone, and Lakshmi it's not very prominent sometimes. Like the Padmanabh Swami temple, it just has Mahavishnu lying down, and you have Lakshmi, a small version of Lakshmi somewhere else, but not prominent.
Okay. And this is a quite nice picture. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sort of brought all of them in line in one sense, brought all the teachings together. So Ramanujacharya, born in 1017, 1,005 years ago. So we're a couple of years behind.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't changed this schedule for a couple of years.
And actually, in 2017, they actually inaugurated the statue, which was, I think, sorry, they started the work on the statue, which is inaugurated, I think, a couple of days ago in Hyderabad, which is the Statue of Equality. And yes, Riansh, you want to say something more about that?
He's there.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I also saw in the live that in bus stops also, when I go outside, there is written as Ramanuja Statue of Equality.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You should go and see it. It's in Hyderabad, in your place.
Yes, in your town.
Go and take some pictures and show us, okay? Ramanuja's family belonged to the caste of Smata Brahmins, who were formal Vedic scholars. Ramanuja's parents, Keshavacharya and Bhudevi, prayed to the Lord for a special soul who would glorify Sri Vishnu. And the Lord answered their prayers. And Lakshman, so Ramanuj,
The younger
brother.
brother of Ram.
The first expansion appeared as Ram Anuj. So Ramanujacharya was married at a young age, 16, and after marriage, his father passed away soon after, and the family moved to Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram was at that time and still is actually, a great place of study for Vedic subjects. He became a student of Yadav Prakash, who happened to be a Mayavadi. In that time, pretty much everybody was a Mayavadi.
That's right, yeah. Because as you saw yesterday, even Madhvacharya's guru was Mayavadi. Similarly, Ramanuja's guru is Mayavadi.
Although he did not agree with the philosophy of becoming one with God, Ramanujacharya didn't leave Yadav Prakash because he wanted to learn the Vedic scriptures, I suppose. He was an excellent student, although he didn't agree with the teacher's conclusion. And one time they had a bit of a ding-dong. One day, Ramanujacharya, he was massaging his guru's back, and Yadav Prakash explained a verse containing the words Kapyasam Pundarikam Evam Akshini. Following the interpretation of Sankaracharya, Yadav Prakash explained that Kapi means monkey and Asanam means ass.
The backside.
The verse, therefore, as interpreted is interpreted to mean Lord Vishnu's lotus eyes are as red as a monkey's backside. Which is not very nice description, really. So Ramanuj cried at this interpretation and finally challenged his guru, stating that this was not correct. Ramanuj explained that Kapyasam means lotus which sits upon the water and flourishes by drinking. So the meaning of the verse is that the lotus eyes of Vishnu are as beautiful as a red lotus which blossoms in the water. So that's a nicer interpretation. Of course, that annoyed Yadav Prakash because he was defeated by his disciple. And he was so annoyed that he decided to kill his disciple by plotting against him with his other disciples. Of course, the plot failed. Ramanuja's cousin, Govinda, informed him of this plot, and he left the school. He actually, I think, went to a different town just to avoid the trouble. His mother advised him to take guidance from a non-Brahmin disciple of Ramanujacharya named Kanchipurna. Ramanuja was greatly inspired by Kanchipurna. But his wife, Ramanuja's wife, considered Kanchipurna as low-born Shudra. Because this is going against etiquette. Ramanujacharya was born in a Smata Brahmin family. And to learn from a Shudra is actually regarded, maybe he would have become an outcast socially. Eventually, due to her behavior towards Kanchipurna, Ramanuj left home and took sannyas. Before this, Ramanuj went to meet Ramanujacharya, the great guru at that time, but he just passed away.
Mm.
When Ramanuja saw him, there were 3 fingers on his right hand, which were closed. And this was considered unusual. So Ramanuja understood, and he made 3 vows on the spot, there and then. He promised to teach the people in general the religion of surrender to Vishnu, how to surrender. And as he did that, made that vow, one of Ramanujacharya's, Yamunacharya's fingers relaxed. Then he took the second vow. He vowed to comment on the hymns of the Alvas, the South Bharatiya saints. These Alvas are really incredibly devoted poets who wrote amazing. And I think Shruti has chanted 1 or 2 of the poems of the Alvas. Amazing. And with this, the second finger relaxed. Finally, he promised to write a scholarly commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, expounding the principles of Sri Vaishnavism as the ultimate truth of the Vedas. And with that, the last clenched finger was relaxed. So that's a really interesting indication of, even though Yamunacharya or Ramanujacharya never met Yamunacharya, he already understood what Yamunacharya's mission was. So that's really unusual, very unusual. A look of spiritual peace came over the lotus face of Ramanujacharya's divine master, Sri Yamunacharya, as if to say he could now depart peacefully, knowing that his mission was in good hands. Soon after taking sannyas, Ramanujacharya established his own monastery or ashram, or mutt, what we call a mutt, where he began training disciples in his systematic Vaishnava interpretation of Vedanta, as well as in the path of devotion to Vishnu. He took many prominent disciples, including his former teacher, Yadav Prakash.
Mm.
So Yadav Prakash, he wanted to kill him, now he's become his disciple.
Similar story to Madhavacharya,
Mm.
his guru also became his disciple.
Ramanuja, under the guidance of Mahapunna, a prominent disciple of Yamunacharya, went to the great Goshtipunna and accepted initiation in the Vaishnava mantra. Now, this was again a little controversial. Goshtipunna initially would not give him the mantra, but after Ramanuja promised him he would not share the mantra with anyone, he was given the mantra. Now, Ramanujacharya, he realized the importance of the mantra, and others were begging him for this mantra. So what did he do? He shared the mantra with everybody. This made Goshtipunna very angry. And he asked Ramanuja, why did you do this? And Ramanuja explained that if the mantra liberates everyone, he was happy to go to hell for disobeying the order. So then Goshtipunna understood the greatness of this soul, Ramanujacharya. And what was the mantra? Om Namo Narayanaya. That's the mantra they chant, the Sri Sampradaya mantra. And if we remember, Narayan is a name that liberated Ajamil. Even though he wasn't calling out for the Lord Narayan, he was calling out his son Narayan. See, the power of that name is so extensive. Ramanuj preached far and wide in South Bharat, establishing 74 centers, and had thousands of disciples, including 700 sannyasis. My goodness. 12,000 celibate students, brahmacharis. But he showed that some of his householders were very advanced. So there was one example. Generally speaking, the sannyasis and the brahmacharis would become a little bit proud that we can control our senses.
They're detached.
They're detached. We don't need to get married, don't need any sense enjoyment. We can sleep on the floor, whatever. So Ramanujacharya saw this mood of arrogance in some of his disciples. So he decided to correct that thinking. And I think the story, can't remember exactly, but the story goes, you remember the story?
Sort of.
Story goes that one time, two stories actually. One was that in the middle of the night, Ramanujacharya went into the brahmacharis'
Mix their clothes.
ashram,
Mhm.
and the sannyas ashram, and he mixed up all the copings and the gamchas. In the morning, when everybody was up and trying to have a shower to looking for their clothes, there was a big hoo-ha, and it was very disturbing to everybody. And Ramanujacharya at that time said, well, you guys saying that you're not attached, but you obviously are attached
To your copings.
to your copings. And the second one was a bit more interesting because he had amazing household disciples, and one of them was called Danu Das. Now, Danu Das, he one night, some brahmacharis came into their room. There was his wife was sleeping, and they stole the earring from her wife. One earring, yeah. And the wife, she just turned around, and they ran away. So Danu Das, when he came back, his wife told him, well, we've been really blessed. Why? What happened? Because some brahmachari came and stole my earring. We were very fortunate. And she said to him, so I turned around, hoping that they would take the other earring, but they ran away. And Danu Das, he was so elevated. He said, why did you turn around? Do you have no faith? Do you have no faith that Vishnu will arrange for the other earring to also be taken? Why did you? Who do you think you are? You're thinking you're a controller, that you turned around? And this showed the glory of the detachment of the householders. So this was an example given. Very interesting. Pastimes in Jagannath Puri. So what happened in Puri one time, Ramanujacharya went there and he saw the worship of Lord Jagannath in the temple. And he saw a few discrepancies in the worship. They weren't exactly doing it according to the Vedic scriptures. And there was perhaps not that much regulation or time, in terms of keeping to the timings of the artis and offerings. So he called a meeting. He was very famous, Ramanujacharya. He called a meeting of the pujaris. Tomorrow we will meet. He called the king into the meeting as well. Said, we need to discuss the standard of worship in this temple. So everybody went to sleep. Everybody was really somewhat apprehensive of Ramanujacharya, because what is he going to say? What's he going to do? What's he going to make the king do? In the middle of the night, somehow or other, Ramanujacharya was transported hundreds of miles away. And Jagannath gave him a message as well.
Yeah, he also had, Jagannath came in his dream.
Yeah.
And
Gave him a message. What was the message? Leave the standard alone. I like it as it is.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the love that they're giving me.
So This actually shows the glory of Ramanujacharya, because Jagannath himself came into his dream and said, yes, I know what you want to do, but I'm happy with their service, their level of service. So leave it alone. And he sent him 100 miles away. So really fortunate, Ramanujacharya. He lived for 100 years.
Actually, 120 years.
120 years,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we touched on this yesterday as well. It's always worth looking again and again. Mahaprabhu, he took two teachings from each of the sampradayas, from the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya's, unalloyed devotional service, free from karma and jnana. So pure bhakti is what he learned, he gave from Sri Sampradaya. Service to the devotees, Vaishnava Seva. Another thing that he's, Sri Sampradaya is well known for. From the Brahma Sampradaya, Madhvacharya's complete defeat of Mayavad philosophy. Madhvacharya was so strong in defeating the Mayavads. And worship of Krishna. Rudra Sampadaya, Vishnu Swami Charya, total dependence on Krishna, in path of spontaneous devotion. And Nimbakacharyas, the four Kumara, exclusive shelter of Radharani and the exalted love of gopis for Krishna. This is really interesting. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has really combined all of those into the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we got the best of all worlds in one sense. Oh, what's this?
That's the dream. Jagannath.
Hang on, let's just read this. Got a bit of time, haven't we? Yeah. Jagannath said, oh, right, yeah. Hang on a second. Now this is something else. This is something else. Let me just have a. No, it's a lot more. No, we'll have to do it another time. This is some pastime that took place in Navadvip, where Ramanujacharya also went, and he discussed the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearing. So, but we'll have to do it another time. I haven't quite gathered it. Unless somebody else knows it, yeah. Unless somebody else knows it. Anyway. So Ramanujacharya ki jai. Anybody else like to share anything about Ramanujacharya or any questions? Is Surinder here? No. Okay. Madhusudan Prabhu, anything you'd like to share?
No, Haribol, yeah. And yeah, it's quite interesting the way it all develops, into the spiritual parts and there's four sampradayas and we're following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya now because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and all these things become clear, but otherwise we could be caught in some philosophical kind of tanglement of Buddhism, which I touched at one time. I studied quite a bit about Buddhism, and then some people staunch on Sankaracharya, but like, Guru Maharaj also used to instruct us, Sankaracharya said, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Mudamat. The fools, he's saying Buddha. The fools, you should just worship Govinda, leave all this. So the instructions are there, and it's interesting that, a place like Hyderabad, I don't know why Hyderabad is called that Ramanujacharya's. I think the place was called something else before Hyderabad.
Oh yeah, it would have been. Yeah,
That's the name.
I think they're trying to change that name to something else.
Riyansh
will let us know. Yogi. But yeah, it's quite interesting that, a few years back, we went to Kanchipuram. And it's there's a deity of Vishnu, which stays submerged in a pond or lake under the temple
Mm.
for 40 years. And they bring that deity out every 40 years,
Mm.
and then they worship it, then have it lying down while worshiping. Then for a certain period, they have it standing up, and then they will do all the pujas and worships and everything. Then they submerge it back after so many days, and then it's there for 40 years. So that year when we went there, that was the year that the deity was brought out. So Kanchipuram is quite an amazing place, you know. It's not far from Chennai, but
Mm.
we had the opportunity of going there and having darshan of that deity. I forget what it was called, but it was such a crowded, you know, nearly got crushed in the stampede at times, just to have the darshan. But we survived the ordeal and had a quick glance at the Vishnu. But then there were pictures and YouTube videos, and that gave a better darshan actually. So yeah, interesting. The South India, you know, is full of these, but you know, putting Ramanuja's the deity like that in a prominent place like Hyderabad, but there's such controversial issues, like, you know, the general mass of people just don't know. Historically, they think, you know, India started when the British came, and India became India because of the Mughals came, and they just want to try and deny the history of thousands of years. Ramanujacharya was, you know, some thousands of years ago. So it's the facts are there, but there's always this denial and crushing of this Sanatana Dharma. But it's like trying to get rid of gravity, which you can't. It's Sanatana. That's why it is Sanatana. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the purpose of this statue is to promote Sanatana Dharma to the world, really, to show.
Yeah, that's right. It is actually peace, and especially when Modi's government, and okay, don't want to get political anyway. We're on the spiritual path. Haribo.
Okay, Riansh, go ahead.
Prabhuji, when I was small, I went to Srirangam and saw the real body of Ramanujacharya. It is still there from 1,000 years.
That's right. Yes, it's still there. Yeah.
And it's still got some potency.
Yeah.
From what I hear, you can have darshan, and you can see maybe the fingertips, you can see the eyes or something. It's still got some.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good.
Yeah, well done. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Ramanujacharya ki jai.
Haribol, it was a test in itself going for a darshan. It was a hot weather, and oh God, yes, it was, but it was worth it. Haribol.
Yeah, well done, well done.
Yes, just one thing. I read somewhere that our Sanskrit is our really oldest religion, but then also the religion of the South. I think I've forgotten the name. That is also quite as old as Sanskrit.
You mean the language, yeah?
Language, yes.
What is that?
It's a
Dravida or not? Something...
no.
Dravides. It's called Dravides. The whole area is called Dravides.
There's a, what is his name? The Sanskrit, which they speak. There's so many languages spoken in the South.
Tamil, Telugu.
Yeah, Tamil is quite very old, very
Mm.
old language. And they also say that our Sanskrit, our religion, Sanskrit itself, originated in the South. So many temples and so many sort of all these great devotees, all these great people are from the South.
Correct.
I wish it was a little bit organized that we can have their darshan or visit the temples, but it's very chaotic.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I mean, Shruti took us through many of them, But
Yes.
we've also been through some of these temples, and actually,
We did a tour actually,
Yeah,
one
it's-
2 weeks
Okay.
good.
tour
It's good.
by train, visiting all these temples one year,
Yeah,
and it's quite nice.
it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the south you can see, the Sanatan Dharma is still prevalent there.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone follows it. Follows it. A lot of them would be more vegetarians than you'd find in the north, like the Punjab and things like that as well.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. I think Niranjan Bhai went to the south to Rameshwaram, and
Yeah.
so many lingas were there, and
Yeah.
there was sort of, it's quite confusing to find what is the original linga there.
No, I think actually,
When he went, this was when he went, it was quite
yeah.
chaotic.
We went to
Mm.
Rameshwar many years back.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a phenomenal place.
Mm.
We'll do that one day, Nanivan.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to go to south one day. Yes,
Yeah.
this is our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot
Yeah.
there.
The
So-
temples are huge.
Mm.
Yeah. Amazing to see them. Yeah. Very true.
But I think the south has remained intact because
Mm.
the north got attacked a
Mughal.
lot,
Yeah.
but this, and in fact, all this Bharatiya culture, Sanskriti, like it's a Sanskriti extended all the way
Yeah.
into Afghanistan and beyond, actually Iran, and there's, but it's kind of shrunk now. Even going further east towards Angkor Wats and those sort of temples were all in the Bharatiya kind of culture, influence. So yeah, but South is more intact as it is, or as it was always, because obviously the Mughals couldn't get any further. These people like Rana Pratap, Shivaji, and all that, Maharashtra's, they fought and they defeated them. But South, yeah, we're lucky. But historically, it was North, and even now I was just getting some sort of feedback of how even the North, we have the 4 prominent places like Gangotri, Badrinath, and some other, like prominent
Yeah. Kedarnath, Yamunotri.
Kedarnath, Yamuna. Yeah, that's right. All those 4.
Mm.
And it is in these places like Jharkhand and all those states now, although they might have become states, but there's still, there's trying to influence and open it's a new kind of thing. They want to try to open a Muslim university there, right in the middle of all this, trying to create controversy and all that. But anyway, yeah, these things happen.
Yeah.
And in the South also, there are sometimes the pressure is put on the Tamil, and they're saying, oh, all these pujas that go on in Sanskrit, they should start doing it in Tamil language or another language, and which is not the way, it has never been the practice that way. So, yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think the language that I was thinking about was Dravidian. Was it Dravidian?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
David,
yeah,
that's
because
right.
it's Dravid Des. The whole area is called Dravid Des.
Yes.
Mm.
But it's right, Madhusudan Prabhuji, that South escaped all this sort of assault by the Mughals and from the Maharashtrians, and so
Even the British.
British. So it is intact, which is good to our cause.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, plan a trip next year, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We will definitely have 2 seats, me and Aarti.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, we were thinking, I think if it'd gone last year, then this year would have been the South, but
Mm.
Okay, anyway, it will happen.
it will
Some-
happen.
Yeah. Thank you. Very
Okay.
good.
Okay, Ramanujacharya ki
Ki jai.
jai.